speaking about Black women, I don't know how much of the Ketanji Brown Supreme Court nominee questioning you were able to watch, but I made a point to watch how the Republicans were going to speak to her, because I knew overall how the Democrats were going to address her, but I wanted to see for myself in real time how the Republicans were going to address her. I thought, as usual, the standout clowns, Ted Cruz, Josh Hawley, Lindsey Graham, as usual, showed their asses, demonstrated their absolute disdain and disrespect for a Black woman who's more qualified than the three of them put together in a blender and mixed together. She has more qualifications than the last three Supreme Court nominees that made it to that revered position. She has demonstrated herself basically in the likes of Rosa Parks for her entire life, because she's been working towards the goal of being a Supreme Court nominee since she was in high school. So I think this is all planned, but I digress again.
No, you're so right, though. It was fucked up.
I mean, they were disrespectful to her. They questioned her on critical race theory, which has nothing to do with her role as a Supreme Court nominee. Critical race theory is only taught in law schools. Some colleges do some introductory discussions around it, but it does not exist in K through 12. I'm disgusted that that's been made an issue. And, asking her questions about
education. She's running for fucking Supreme Court.
Right. And she handled herself like class act. I mean, she couldn't have flipped out and started screaming like, I like beer and fuck you. And, she couldn't run up on there and slap Ted Cruz. I mean, she, of course, as Black women everywhere know, had to maintain her self-control while once again being insulted by a bunch of people who were less intelligent than her.
And it's so fucked up because some of these people, like, you're just performing for your own.
Yeah, it's just a performance, just a circus act.
People of your base.
Yeah, they just want the votes.
Being mean, because if you're not, then they're going to get mad that you weren't mean enough to this Black lady. What does that say about your followers? Are those really the people you want to count amongst your constituency?
And the answer is yes. The answer is obviously yes, because those people vote. They vote. They go and vote. Other demographics and communities tend to be more complacent about voting. They don't have the same luxuries of being able to vote. Voting times have been lowered. That's what made the ballot so effective, is that people who can't miss work, who can't get off early, who can't get to voting spots, had an opportunity to vote. I mean, why isn't that a national day? I don't care about Columbus Day. I don't care about President's Day. Why don't we have Election Day, where the whole country is not working so we can all vote? And the reason we don't have that is because the powers that be don't want us all to vote. It should be a holiday. Everything else is.
Yeah. And I mean, with blockchain technology, like, the's ways you should be able to vote.
Yeah, I mean, if you can vote on American Idol, you're telling me you can't vote for the president? I mean, we've allegedly put a man on the moon, but we haven't figured out how to make election voting easier for people.
Yeah.
I mean, let's stop acting like these people are idiots. Like, I mean, these people know exactly what they're doing. And, it's disrespectful how they treated her, but she was dignified and contained. You could see from time to time the frustration in her face, where people were just asking her some dumbass fucking questions. And you could tell in her face, she was like, this motherfucker right here is really trying me.
Some people criticized her for that little bit of a reaction. She didn't yell, she didn't cuss anybody, but like,
right, for just being like,
so she was too easily flustered.
Well, you know what? I saw Kavanaugh sweating like a pig as he discussed that he liked beer. I don't think any female candidate could be like, I like vodka, during a Supreme Court.
And almost crying when he was doing it. Like, he's like, I like beer.
It was just such white boy shit. And I wasn't here for it. I was like, this guy's obviously like just unhinged in some weird, like, Rush Limbaugh, Alex Jones kind of way. And, they had no problem, sliding him through. So I just thought some of the line of questioning was just absolutely distasteful. What I did appreciate was Booker's celebration of her nomination. He did give it up to her. He said, no matter what happens here, no matter how these folks act, there's nothing that they can do to take away from the moment of the fact that you worked your ass off to be here. You belong here. This nomination deserves your name. I'm here to celebrate you and to celebrate all the women of color who will forever, whose names will never be known in history, and what all of those cumulative experiences have done to bring a woman like that to a moment like this. I think she's a fabulous representation of what women of color can accomplish, and I hope she gets the nomination.
Now, what do you think about the idea that she The criticism she received for going to a Ivy League school. It's just funny to me how
But
going
where
to an
should she
Ivy
have
League
gone?
school is only a
Bobo's camp?
problem when
I
you're
mean,
Black.
right. Going to an Ivy League school only seems to be a problem when you're a person of color. But when all the president's kids go, they all seem to get applauses. So I'm not understanding what the problem is.
Barack Obama, he's an out of touch elitist because he went to Columbia undergrad or Roberts for a little bit, then transferred,
Right.
and Harvard Law School. Same
right.
thing.
But not the candidate who came from 4 generations of money. Right. They're more in touch with the common man.
Yeah. Oh, she's
it's just an insulting argument. It's loaded with affirmative action undertones. It's loaded with you didn't really deserve this. It's loaded with how did you even get there? Who do you think you are? You need to be in your place. Innuendos. It's a dog whistle to the people who do not see us as equals and never will see us as equals. Mm-hmm. And quite frankly, there is an argument that I'm starting to really resonate with, which is maybe we should focus less on social justice and focus more on finance and entrepreneurship. Because once we make our own money, then does it really matter whether or not they like us, they give us equal rights, we get job opportunity? We can't be fighting oppression against the same people we're giving resumes to.
Yeah. Well, same thing back to the award show shit. What if we just all would just have our own Black movie awards? You know what I mean? Like,
right. Like, who do we need to be accepted by?
Awards. You have what if you did have you have the Essence Image Awards or whatever, the NAACP Image Awards. What if you had a specifically NAACP Entertainment Awards and you did film and TV awards specifically for those?
I mean, why do we constantly need their acceptance? There's still something to be said that we're still looking for like mommy and daddy's approval on some level. And I don't see how we can be marching in the streets and demanding equality and access to resources and opportunity, and then expecting that as we're protesting against these people, that we can send resumes to them and say, hey, will you hire us? That's why the hiring's so low for people of color. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, so we have to establish more financial independent avenues for ourselves. And I'm really starting to think that is the only solution and the primary solution that communities of color should be focusing on. Once you have money, then you have the power to do what you need to do for the community. But marching and protesting without the money, I'm finding it pretty useless.
It makes you feel better.
It might make you feel personally better that you did something in the world, but it's not really moving the needle.
No, exactly. Especially, we're going to stop traffic for a little bit, and that'll encourage the people that we inconvenience to email their politicians and ask their politicians to pass the law that we want, so that therefore they, no more of these disruptions will happen. No, dude, if anything, that's not how people think anymore in this day and age. People are way more cynical. People are way more vindictive. So if anything, it's like, no, I'm going to vote for politicians that are specifically going to say, fuck you to those protesters instead, because they made me late for work with the shit that they pulled.
Right.
You did not help. None of the people that you got in front of that you made late for work by blocking a highway, none of those people
warmed to the cause because of that.
Brought over.
Right. And that's why I think it's important that when companies are having diversity and inclusion trainings, I think we need to start having these discussions from more apolitical, more neutral perspectives. You can have a discussion about voter suppression without making it a Democratic or Republican issue. You can have a conversation about immigration without necessarily making it a Democratic or Republican issue if we can just look at the policies. But nobody looks at the policies because we're too busy looking for the person we like. These aren't popularity contests. I don't need to like my leader. I want a leader who's smart and is doing what's best for the community. And for me, I don't care if they're a Republican or a Democrat. If a Republican is willing to do what needs to be done for certain communities, I would vote for that person. The party doesn't matter. The policy should matter. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, we're going for worse and worse rhetoric.